Title is Climate Change, Preparing for Natural Disasters, which includes, after a conversation we had in South Dakota, how you can prepare for evacuation in case a disaster occurs in your community or your neighborhood or around your house. And she's going to explain to us how we can be super prepared. So the floor is yours, Liz. Thank you so much. I'm going to clap and then I'm going to mute myself.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Liz Witham from the Zonta Club of Prowers County and the current Area 4 Director. I want to thank Julie for giving me this opportunity to discuss preparedness with respect to climate change. Some background. I spent most of my youth growing up in Daytona Beach shores. Our house was about 2 football fields from the ocean. So we always had flashlights, radios, extra batteries on hand, but we never had a direct hit from a hurricane. However, there were a few times when we did go visit my grandparents who lived inland, just in case. My current level of preparedness stems from the 2012 fire that raced down the canyon towards Colorado Springs. My oldest son was living west of I-25, and the firefighters appeared at his door and gave him very, very little time, just a few minutes to get out. He was not prepared. Fortunately, we're only a couple hours away. My younger son's apartment is in the background of this picture. This was after Hurricane Matthew went up the coast in 2016. There were trees down everywhere, and these are small branches, but huge trees that had to be cut up by chainsaws were outside his neighborhood, my dad's neighborhood, and they live about 60 miles in from the coast. It was just a mess, and it took a long time to clean up, and it never hit landfall. It never made landfall. One of the greatest challenges of climate change is the higher incidence of extreme events. Severe drought is ongoing across the West. They're draining lakes and providing fuel for massive wildfires. District 12 is at most danger from out of control wildfires, heavy rains, flooding burn scars, and blizzards. These blizzards can be accompanied by very, very cold temperatures. All of these have occurred in the last couple of years. Panic happens. Prior planning helps reduce the panic. Women need to participate and indeed take the lead on the planning. Okay. There are a number of good sources for home preparedness. My library has a copy of The Prepared Home by Melissa George. Those who prefer the web should start with the FEMA site. Each of the 4 states in District 12 also have emergency preparedness websites. Today, I'm going to share my home efforts just so you can kind of see where I've started. They start with go bags and family plans. These can be done way ahead of time. I have evacuation lists 5, 15, and 30. That might not seem like long, but the firefighters pretty much stood at Travis's door until he got out. They really did not give him time. Pets and livestock, when to go, when to stay, preparing the home, and how we can adapt to climate change. Okay. To a certain extent, this slide is a reiteration. These 5 categories are very, very important. The planning stage needs to be done well in advance. I suggest this weekend, if you haven't already made the steps. Go bags can be backpacks or they can be totes. I prefer backpacks because I can have it on my back and I have my hands free, carry the cat, carry a kid, whatever it might be. They should be lightweight, easy to carry. The entire household should understand what the evacuation plans are, where to meet, etc. if you're not all together. The action component is critical to alleviate panic because when you get one of these notices, it's just panic. You're just hit. there's a fire coming, there's a flood coming, that type of thing. So I have the list hung up inside my closet door. And we'll go through that in a minute. Pets and livestock. This can be tricky. Dogs, I think, are easier than cats. Fortunately, I have a cat that doesn't like to be very far away from my side. But if you've got one that likes to go hide, that can take precious minutes to find them. Decisions. When to stay, when to go, and even more important, where to go. Basic needs, 3 days or more. There's a question mark intentionally there. And then adapting to climate change. The action component, you want to have that in place to alleviate the panic. The list needs to be somewhere where you can find it. Like I said, mine's inside my closet. The decision-making needs to be flexible, and it's going to depend on the situation. And sometimes the best thing will be to stay home. And then we will be able to do some things to adapt to our climate change. Go bags. Pack as efficiently and lightly as possible. You do not want to carry a 30-pound bag on your back. The clothing I include is very simple. 1 long sleeve and 1 short sleeve shirt. 1 pair of pants, couple pair of underwear, couple pair of socks. I don't have shoes inside my backpack. There is a pair inside my front closet that is easy to walk in, broken in, that type of thing. Documents. These should include identification, passport, driver's license, that type of thing. Copies of birth certificates, copies of marriage licenses, deed to the house, car titles. Make the copies in advance and put them all in a certain spot. A contact list. I know we have contacts in our cell phones, but sometimes if you're in an area where there's no electricity and you can't recharge your cell phone, or if your cell phone gets wet or dropped or broken or lost, you need some way to contact people on a phone you borrow. So print out a contact list and keep it in the document bag. Prescriptions, you can keep a small amount in your go bag, but if you do that, you better change it out, rotate it, whatever. We keep all our prescription in one specific cabinet. So if we have our 5 minute to go, we're going to go get a gallon size Ziploc bag and just sweep everything in. We know where everything is. And actually, you could put all these items in a Ziploc bag. That'll help waterproof them. Cash. In case of a time period of no electricity, you're not going to be able to use credit cards. I don't think you want to take a ton of cash out, but it wouldn't hurt to take several hundred, enough to buy gas, enough to buy food. And I have it in a little extra change purse inside my go bag. I'm not talking large amounts of money, but enough to get you a tank of gas if you need to get gas, etc. One of the things I've done recently is get a second credit card, because with all the software attacks out there, one company can be down even if the electricity is working. Also, gas pumps do not always work if the electricity goes out. Okay. Personal hygiene. Make it simple. Toothbrush, toothpaste, comb or brush. If you do shampoo and conditioner, make them the tiny bottles. Don't take a huge 12-ounce bottle of shampoo with you in that bag. Make these bags light. Any other needed items can go in there. The same thing with the first aid kit, standard first aid kit. First aid cream like Neosporin, maybe some anti-itch cream, Band-Aids, etc. This is not not anything more than just the simple basics. But you might want to include sunscreen and some type of bug repellent. And they have packets of little wipe-on bug repellent now. You don't have to have a can. Okay. Flashlight, batteries, and then if you wear glasses or have contact lenses, it wouldn't hurt to have an old pair or a backup pair in that bag. Okay, these are my action checklists, and this is what I was explaining to Julie at the conference. Literally, sometimes you only have 5 minutes to get out, and practice and make sure you can grab all this in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, that type of thing. Sometimes you'll have 2 days. The people in Florida, they might have a couple days knowing something's coming to it. A big blizzard, same type of thing. Practice, see if you can get all these things in 5 minutes. A go bag, it's right there in the front hall closet. The pet carrier, you'll notice I have it in parentheses, it's in the garage. I did this because I know where it is. But if I'm not home when something happens, my husband needs to know where to get it. Same thing with the documents. The LR is living room file cabinet. He knows where it is, but that's a reminder. So you don't panic and forget. Same thing with the cell phones, chargers, the medicines from the cabinet. And don't go off without your purse or wallet. Pretty key. And then flashlight, mirror, radio. The mirror is always a nice safety thing to happen. You can attract rescuers if you get caught somewhere. So I tend to have small little mirrors to flash up there. The 15 minutes in my list, which you'll see here in a minute, I have all the above for what's on the 5-minute list. And then I've added the extra water and snacks, the pet food. These 3 short time possibilities, it just gives you extra time. You know, you might be able to do something else. You might want something on there. You might do jewelry at home instead of a safe deposit box. You might not have pets, so you can put something else in there. The local maps. I know cell phones have maps, but again, cell phones may not be reliable. Okay. The snacks and the water, I tend to rotate. There are some key dates on little snack bars that you don't want to go past. They'll just get bad. Sleeping bags and quilts might be needed. The last 2 on the 30-minute list are a little different. Entertainment items for children. If you end up at a shelter, there may not be TVs. You know, you may have to have a game of cards or something, but it needs to be small. And then the last one is select family items, and that's going to vary. It might be photo albums. It might be a painting. Who knows? It might be some tiny little tray that's small, portable, that you can grab that may have been in the family for 3 generations. Only you're going to be able to figure out what you need. Some key takeaways. The pets are hard to find sometimes. The storage places, it's good to indicate on your list. And it helps just to be organized on a daily basis. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. If I don't put my purse down where I know where it is, I don't want to spend 5 minutes looking for it. You know, so have a place for purse, keys, etc. We actually have an old backpack of one of the kids that has wheels on it. And that's what we use for the water and extra snacks. It's because water is very heavy. You don't want to put more than a bottle or 2 in your go bag. It's just very, very heavy. And you don't want to be without water. I rotate the food and water out around the equinoxes. And then the only thing that FEMA has on its list that I haven't put on yet is filters and masks. And I don't know how much of that is from the pandemic and how much of it is from the wildfires. But I could have used more masks when we were up in Cheyenne a couple of years ago. Okay, these are some extra tips and tricks. This is my actual evac list. Like I said, I have all of the above a couple times. My husband reads off of a Kindle, so that would be grabbed. My dad's written a couple of books, they would be grabbed. Anything not replaceable and very portable. But, you know, if the house is lost, the house is lost. You need to get out. That's the most important thing. Stick to those times, time yourself. Walking shoes in the closet. The paper maps can be laminated. You do that a lot in Florida because of the rain. I don't know that we do it so much around here. Let the kids choose what they want to take in advance. One of the key things is try to stay calm. Don't keep the gas tank on empty. I have some kids that like to see how low they can get before they fill up, and I'm constantly after them not to do that, because you don't want to have to go get in line at a gas station if you need to evacuate. Okay, and then prioritize what your personal items are going to be in advance. Okay. Decisions you have to make, whether to stay or go. Sometimes the road conditions are hazardous. If there's a fire around, there may be fires, you know, roads that are cut off. If there's a blizzard out, they may be too icy. If there's a wind event already in progress, a blizzard already going, because I don't think we'll get hurricanes up here, you're not going to want to go out, especially in a vehicle that's got a high center of gravity. And then if it's really, really cold, you're not going to want to drive around in -2-degree weather. The cars don't work around well, especially with all the electronics. We had one just stay overnight in -20-degree weather, and the electronics all got messed up. When to go? FEMA evacuation orders. They have a get ready, be set, and go. And the get ready is several days before an event. And this probably goes more with possible wildfires, definitely hurricanes. Sometimes you know ahead of time. Be set and listen to what's going on. Listen to the announcements, listen to the right radios, and then when they say go, get out. This might change if your family has very young members or very old members. If you have someone on oxygen, for example, you might not want to wait until they tell you to go. You might want to go sooner. Okay. Medical conditions warrant more caution. And then if you expect the whole home to be totaled, that means it's going to get bad there. You really need to get out and keep your life. Staying at home. This was pretty interesting. This is a list of what FEMA suggests the following to have at home. They are increasing the number of days to have water and non-perishable food on hand. It used to be just 3 days. I think that with the severity of these storms, especially around the coast, the last hurricane that came through and hit the west coast of Florida last month, my dad was without electricity from Wednesday to Sunday. Fortunately, my son that lives 10 miles away never lost it. He just went and stayed with him. But it's no longer a 24-hour and the electricity is back on when these Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricanes hit. It's just demolishing everything. And it sometimes takes weeks and months to fix things. So several days, the website's not really clear, but they're no longer saying 3 days. I would say a week. Okay. Extra cell phone battery or charger. And they have those little units you can buy that have the chargers. A NOAA weather radio, we have one. It's a hand crank one. It'll work if you crank it up. Flashlight, extra batteries, first aid kit. And then, as I said earlier, mask and filters, which I had never put in mine. A whistle. Make sure the whistle works. And then a can opener. If you have all those cans of food and you have an electric can opener and nothing else, you're not going to be able to eat. You need to have one of those old-fashioned hand can openers. And then non-sparking wrench or pliers, if you have gas in your home, especially. Water, but especially gas. Okay, those things might need to be turned off before you leave. Climate change is really, really making everything much more severe, and you just have to be ready. Leave in time. Those of us out here in the rural areas, we only have, 2-lane highways. We don't have the big highways you might have on the interstates. There's not much you can do. You're going to be in stop and go traffic if you all leave at once. So leave in time refers back to the other one. You might consider alternate routes. In our town, we have 50 going east and west and 287 north and south. But if you go the back roads and the county roads, you might be able to get around where they are, but you have to know how to get there. Some of us go and explore on Sunday afternoons, and most of us don't. So adapting to climate change. This is pretty key, and I really think we all need to do this. You need to have a fire-free zone around your house, and I am guilty. I have a couple big bushes that have really overgrown where they should be. If you have any dead trees like in this picture, get them cut down. They'll catch fire in an instant. Clean the drains, drain extenders. I don't know if any of you know what a dry creek is, but we have a low spot in our side yard, and we're planning right now how to put a dry creek in so the water flows from that dry spot to one of the ends of the yard. Whichever way it goes, we need to get some type of measuring deal to see where the flow is best. The passive solar heat, if you can build by whatever your house, plant trees to the southwest that are deciduous. They will keep your house cooler in the summer. And then when they lose their leaves in the winter, you'll have more warmth. So that piece of landscaping is important. And then you need to prioritize your water. Xeriscape if you can, that type of thing. Some of the fire-free zone, I think, is very critical out west in our 4 states. That is probably one of my biggest fears. I know the big thunderstorms that just sit over happen. One happened about an hour 15 minutes northeast of us. They had 8 inches in 2 hours, just flooded everything. So I know that's a possibility. And so that's what we're kind of worried about, those supercells dumping a lot of the water. But I think the bigger danger to all of us is the fires. And then, of course, we still have tornadoes. And in that case, you are not going anywhere. You're going to find shelter. Okay. Women at risk. I feel strongly natural disasters endanger women disproportionately to men. We're vulnerable to attacks and shelters. So that's why you need to be proactive and include a whistle in your bag. Make sure it works. Have multiple money sources. A lot of women are not even aware of their financial situation. Have a couple different credit cards. Have some cash on hand. Have an account in your name only. We have greater responsibility for others. It's the women that have to get the kids out or the elderly taken care of. And sometimes we lack in survival skills. If you're in the middle of an emergency situation, you're not going to have AAA come change your tire. You better know how to change it yourself. If you're during an evacuation zone, that's just not going to happen where someone will come to your rescue. Know how to build a fire if you need warmth. Know how to create a shelter. Those are just basic skills that we've kind of gone past in this day and age. And I'm not trying to be anti-government because I worked for the government for many, many years, but you want to try to stay out of FEMA shelters, especially if you evacuate alone. Okay. Recommended reading. Julie handed out All We Can Save at the conference, and each club should have their own. I recently bought the Big Fix because it says it has 7 practical steps. And I just finished reading, and the review won't be out for a week or two on the blog, but the Displacements by Bruce Holsinger. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. He wrote The Gifted School 3 or 4 years ago. He's a UVA English department person. This book, wow, it's fiction, of course, but it brings to home all the dangers to women. The story, the plot of the story is a woman married to a surgeon. She's artistic, has some creativity to her. She's got 3 kids at home, including one that had just dropped out of Stanford. That was a stepson, and they have to evacuate from a Cat 6. And I know Cat 6s don't really exist, but I think the National Hurricane people are already thinking about creating a Cat 6. And somehow her purse gets left behind with her cell phone in it. The daughter's cell phone runs out of battery. The car was only partly full. So before they get out of North Florida, they're stranded by the side of the road. It gets more detailed. She is basically penniless, ends up in a super shelter in Oklahoma. And it just gets very, very interesting reading. Makes you never want to be in a FEMA shelter if possible. And it was not it was a better run shelter than most places. The woman who ran it was powerful, but you just don't want to be displaced if you can help it. But with our natural disasters coming around, I think it's something we have to consider could happen. So that is all I have. Any questions?
That was fabulous, Liz. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Liz.
I before the questions, I'm wondering if there's a way that we can load this PowerPoint up. If you
I'm
have
going
a
to send it to
script.
Julie. I'm going to
Yeah.
send it to Julie.
Yeah, and we can put it on our Edge website, or put it on our Facebook page. If you send it
Whatever
to me,
you-
I can play with it too. It's a
That's
really
fine.
good PowerPoint, and it's also pretty. I like pretty stuff.
Yeah,
I like the flowers.
It is
Yeah.
pretty. I mean, it's very well done. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, Anna. I will stop sharing now.
Thank you, Liz. That was amazing. It was so well done, so well thought out. You really hit all the points that I think everyone needs. And I'm so glad we recorded this because it's so important to spread this to the other clubs for people who haven't seen it. So we're going to put it on our D12 webpage once the recording is done. I'm not going to record much longer. If anyone has a question and don't mind being on screen, we will keep the recording going. Or if you don't, oh, Anna, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to know, so the key is really for women to be a lot better prepared. You know,
Yes.
It sounds as though you better have your phone, your chargers, your cell phone battery, you better have money and cash, you better have it on you so that nobody can take it away from you. It sounds awful, but it sounds like visiting a foreign country. I'll be honest, you have to take all of this stuff with you in a little backpack, and that's pretty much what you have.
A fanny pack or a front
Well,
pocket.
a fanny pack and your purse and your backpack. I mean, serious, that's what you have. And you have to have a big enough backpack for the batteries and the phone and all that stuff. And I know exactly how to prepare for that. So that's kind of, it went, whoa, this is exactly what I just did when I was in Ireland, you know?
Yeah, it's similar. The key thing to remember is if a big storm comes down, cell towers might be down for a while.
Right. And that's why I guess.
So you have to be independent.
And pictures and documents, those are the only 2 things I haven't really thought about, but that's great. So thank you, Liz. It was wonderful.
And Anne has a question. She has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you. That was really good, Liz. I really enjoyed it. So a little bit of backstory is, I guess, was it last year that around Washington, D.C., there was just this huge winter storm that just shut the interstates down, and people were trapped for hours and hours in traffic. And I got into a dust up over somebody saying, don't let, the government's not going to help you, which is true, but it was sort of, very condemning. So I started thinking about, what should we keep in the car? And that's just, in South Dakota and as a rural state, we do that anyway. But for those who might live in a more urban area and don't think about having to sit in your car for 12 hours because of a storm, what do you suggest you put in keep in your car?
Very similar. And I do have a bucket that I keep in the car. I have an extra blanket. I have several pairs of gloves, warm gloves, work gloves in case I need to change a tire, flashlights, mirrors, also nutrition bars. I have a little instant of tea. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that. Just in case I need sugar instead of water. Crackers, peanut butter crackers. You just need to be careful, because especially like the peanut butter crackers, they go stale and rancid very easily. So you just have to kind of rotate those out.
Paydays work really good.
Okay.
Paydays, because they have peanuts and caramel and something in the middle, and they hardly ever get rancid.
That's good.
You need to change probably about every year if you're lucky.
You don't want chocolate, because chocolate melts.
No, exactly.
Usually.
And I have a shovel and an axe.
Shovels are good. I don't have an axe. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, because if
I have cat litter in the winter. I put some cat litter in the winter.
We always have blankets, extra blankets.
Yes.
In the car, and in the winter, snow boots. We have extra snow boots.
And always a big first aid kit, because I have diapers for pressure dressings, and I used to teach first aid for wilderness areas, so I have it all packed for that.
And we have one of those knives, what are they called, with all the different things on them?
Just a multi-tool.
Yep. We always have that in the car.
Yeah, Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Well, that was a good question, Anne, because that is really important to have stuff in your car. Because what if you have that 5 minutes and all you can do is get the kids and the grandparents and the cat and your medicines, and you got to go. I did notice one thing, and something that we would all do, but it's something to remember, is to bring your keys.
Yeah.
I always have them in my purse.
Yeah, my keys are in my purse.
Yeah.
And my husband's key is in his car.
We have time for one more question, and then our group has to start our AEGE meetings. So anybody else have a question?
I think if we reference the American Automobile Association, they have good suggestions for what to have in emergencies in your car.
They do. And they're, I like having AA when I travel cross country.
Yeah.
Especially in cities. Some of the rural areas, you have to find someone and then get reimbursed for the service. I know down here, we don't have anybody that does AAA. But I would not want to be in a major city without AAA.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere without AAA.
Well, we have no AAA here. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If you get stuck in Pumpkin Center, Colorado, you're just in trouble.
Yeah.
So
there's also the Good Samaritan Society. Good Samaritan are a lot of people who have RVs are members of Good Samaritan, and they can help you too.
Yeah.
That's really good to know, Francie. Thank you for that. So that's something to
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Okay,
It was very inspiring to get moving and get prepared.
well, thank you, Liz. Thank you
All right.
everyone who came. I know it was last minute, but I appreciate those of you who came that aren't on the committee, and we will have the recording available soon. I'm going to go ahead and stop it for now.